Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go on with chapter 8, Consecration from the Science of Being Great. Now this chapter essentially reminds the reader that we have the freedom and actual ability to think positively about, again, ourselves and other people. But in the face of negativity, we still hold the power to think positively about other people, no matter what they are doing. Now, because of how we have been raised and perhaps tendencies we have inherited, we're more often than not inclined to react negatively against people who are acting negative as well in their own ways. But this chapter is again reminding us that we don't really have to do it. Even though it sounds kind of weird, it sounds logical to sort of lash out to someone if they are being negative and destructive towards us. But this is talking about living from the soul, and the soul, of course, doesn't really have any need to destroy or hurt anything or anyone around itself. So there's no need for revenge either from that point of view. Now Wallace started this chapter by saying, having attained to the viewpoint that puts you into the right relations with the world and with your fellow man, the next step is consecration. And consecration in its true sense simply means obedience to the soul. You have that within you, that which is always impelling you towards the upward and advancing way. And that impelling something is the divine principle of power. You must obey it without question. Now you have that within you, that which is always impelling you toward the upward and advancing way. This is essentially reminding you of the fact that whenever something negative happens, the fact that it feels negative to you and you don't like it is a sign that something inside of you wants it to be better. Now it's up to us to connect and to align with that better and bigger and upward way of living. So when relationships are bad for us and we're sort of stuck, or at least when they're like family members or people you don't really walk away from 100% entirely, we're still going to have to find a different point of view in order to make this work. And that is that power within us that will inspire us on how to go about this. We feel we want to make it work, well, let the soul guide you on how to make it work. No one will deny the statement that if you are to be great, the greatness must be a manifestation of something within. Nor can you question that this something must be the very greatest and highest that is within. It is not the mind or the intellect or the reasoning faculty. You cannot be great if you go no farther back for principle than to your reasoning power. Reason knows neither principle nor morality. Your reason is like a lawyer in that it will argue for either side. The intellect of a thief will plan robbery and murder as readily as the intellect of a saint will plan a great philanthropy. Intellect helps us to see the best means and manner of doing the right thing, but intellect never shows us the right thing. Intellect and reason serve the selfish man for his selfish ends as readily as they serve the unselfish man for his unselfish ends. Use intellect and reason without regard to principle, and you may become known as a very able person, but you will never be known as a person whose life shows the power of real greatness. There's too much training of the intellect and reasoning powers and too little training in obedience to the soul. This is the only thing that can be wrong with your personal attitude, when it fails to be one of obedience to the principle of power. Now, in order to listen to your soul as he's suggesting, we're going to have to use our intuition. You're going to have to be guided by these hunches and feelings that come from within you, that are indeed beyond the reasoning mind, but you can sense unity and greatness and compassion for all of creation if you tap into it. It does exist within you, but usually our reasoning mind gets in the way. We want to get even with people, we want to do all sorts of stuff, therefore we can't really connect with our soul, as he's saying, allow our soul to shine through and to act for us, with and through us, and not just the surface of mind, the limited ego in this manner. By going back to your own center, you can always find the pure idea of right for every relationship. To be great and to have power, it is only necessary to conform your life to the pure idea as you find it in the great within. Every compromise on this point is made at the expense of a loss of power. This you must remember. There are many ideas in your mind that you have outgrown, and which, from force of habit, you still permit to dictate the actions of your life. Seize all this. Abandon everything you have outgrown. There are many ignoble customs, social and others, which you will still follow, although you know they tend to dwarf and belittle you and keep you acting in a small way. Rise above all this. I do not say that you should absolutely disregard conventionalities or the commonly accepted standards of right and wrong. You cannot do this, but you can deliver your soul from most of the narrow restrictions that bind the majority of your fellow men. Do not give your time and strength to the support of obsolete institutions, religious or otherwise. Do not be bound by creeds in which you do not believe. Be free. You have perhaps formed some sensual habits of mind or body. Abandon them. You still indulge in distrustful fears that things will go wrong or that people will betray you or mistreat you. Get above all of them. You still act selfishly in many ways and on many occasions. Cease to do so. Abandon all these and in place of them put the best actions you can form a conception of in your mind. If you desire to advance and you are not doing so, remember that it can be only because your thought is better than your practice. You must do as well as you think. Let your thoughts be ruled by principle and then live up to your thoughts. Did you grasp how powerful that was? I have this all underlined in my book because I knew this is very interesting. He said, if you desire to advance and you are not doing so, remember that it can be only because your thought is better than your practice. We can all think of how we can do a better job at what we're involved in, how we can have a better relationship, how we can live a better life. But more often than not, we are not really acting upon those thoughts. But once we start acting upon those concepts we first build inside our consciousness, we can then alter time-space reality. We keep reminding you of this beautiful fact of life. It is beautiful that you have this power within you to do just that, but you're going to have to do it for yourself. So be sure that you live up to your own thoughts. That's essentially what he's saying. And in previous works of his, he kept saying that as well in a different way. And in the videos in general we share on this channel, we keep reminding you of this fact. Keep using your mind as way. Let your attitude in business, in politics, in neighborhood affairs, and in your own home be the expression of the best thoughts you can think. Let your manner toward all men and women, great and small, and especially to your own family circle, always be the most kindly, gracious, and courteous you can picture in your imagination. Remember your viewpoint. You are a god in the company of gods and must conduct yourself accordingly. The steps to complete consecration are few and simple. You cannot be ruled from below if you are to be great. You must rule from above. Therefore, you cannot be governed by physical impulses. You must bring your body into subjection to the mind. But your mind without principle may lead you into selfishness and immoral ways. You must put the mind into subjection to the soul, and your soul is limited by the boundaries of your knowledge. You must put into subjection to that our soul, which needs no searching of the understanding, but before whose eyes all things are spread. That constitutes consecration. Say, I surrender my body to be ruled by my mind. I surrender my mind to be governed by my soul. And I surrender my soul to the guidance of God. Make this consecration complete and thorough, and you have taken the second step toward greatness and power. Now that's the end of chapter 8. And essentially at the very end, what he's reminding us, another line I really liked was, we have to act to the best of our abilities, to the best that we can think of acting. So you start dealing with people and you start thinking, how can I treat them better? You start using your imagination, seeing yourself having better, more optimistic relationships with them, more meaningful interactions with people all over. If you can start thinking and imagining in that manner, which you can, but are you doing it? Well, if you start doing it, you can just ask yourself the question, how can I treat others better? It really doesn't matter what they are doing or how they are behaving. I just ask myself, how can I treat this person better? How can I treat my business better? How can I treat myself better as well? This is also important. Now keep thinking about these things because it's a lot of fun. As you keep really thinking about that, no matter who you're dealing with, if you start thinking, how can I treat this person better? How can I make this work better with this person? You're going to come up with ideas for yourself and how to do it. You don't have to ask that person then necessarily, do you agree with what I just considered about how we can make this work better? You just start to act. You are allowing your soul with these great ideas that are flowing from within into your conscious awareness, you're allowing them to be expressed towards that person. If you're truly honest with yourself and loyal to your own soul, obedient to the soul, you will never be inspired to do something negative anyway. You'll be compelled to do something from compassion, from positivity, from support, and then you automatically start treating that person in that manner, and the relationships will improve. You have to trust in this process. It really works. That is what I try to do most of my time. And I say most of my time because, again, it is a pretty huge undertaking to do this every second of your day. That is essentially what we sort of want to aim for, but at times we're going to go off track, as been discussed in previous chapters as well. But we just want to keep and try to give this a shot in our lives and see for ourselves where it can take us and what it will do to the quality and enjoyment we get out of life and in our relationships, in our friendships, in our family life, in our love life. I mean, everything is going to be uplifted if we start considering how we can be of better value and service to others around us. Now, we don't become a slave. We are allowing the power of God to express those wonderful concepts with others. We're essentially uplifting not just others but ourselves by doing this. That is the secret you want to understand. That is really behind all of this and why we're doing this. It's not just for the other person and then we're left out not advancing or benefiting at all. No, it is actually a true power that if you start giving, you'll start receiving. So start giving of the best of yourself to everyone you meet to the best of your ability and watch what happens. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.